Here's Wendy!
Wendy Williams has been hiding in plain sight for years. Everyone saw the shaking hands, the confused moments, the strange interviews, but nobody knew how bad things really were behind the scenes. Now, at 61, she's finally admitting what doctors told her family in private. The diagnosis explains everything.
Wendy Williams has a history of thyroid problems that I think you can see in her eyes. She has what looks like thyroid eye disease to me.
Her forgotten words, her financial disasters, her son's behavior. For months, people controlled her life while she fought to remember who she was. What she just confessed about her condition will shock you. The queen of gossip kept the biggest secret of all. Wendy Williams came into the world on July 18, 1964, in Asbury Park at a time when the town was slipping into unrest. Her parents, Shirley Skinner and Thomas Dwayne Williams, were educated, hard-working teachers who carried 3 master's degrees between them. Yet even they could not shield their family from what Asbury Park was turning into. By 1969 and early 1970, tension had been building in the streets, and by July 4, 1970, it exploded. Wendy was only 6 when fires lit up the night sky, police filled the streets, more than 150 people were hurt, and whole blocks were destroyed. Her parents packed their things in fear and moved to Wayside, a quiet suburb in Ocean Township, hoping the calm there would keep their children safe. Suddenly, Wendy found herself in a place where only a few families looked like hers. She felt the shift instantly, a child caught between her old world in Asbury Park and her new life in a mostly white neighborhood. That early chaos stayed with her. It shaped the sharp instincts and resilience she carried for the rest of her life. In Wayside, Wendy's energy was impossible to ignore. Doctors called her hyperactive and suggested medication, but her parents chose a strict diet instead, especially after she grew taller and heavier than most kids her age. By 6th grade, she was nearly 6 feet tall and weighed 149 pounds. She stood out in every room whether she wanted to or not. Her parents pushed discipline because they believed it would secure her future. But it also planted early wounds about her body and confidence that she carried for decades. Later in life, when she spoke openly about addiction and medication, she traced many of her struggles back to those childhood pressures. Even with all that, she kept showing sparks of who she would become. She put on her brownie uniform for the Girl Scouts and volunteered as a candy striper at the hospital. But it was the moments behind the microphone that lit her up. She announced her younger brother's Little League games with the excitement of someone who already understood how to hold an audience. Her parents pictured her becoming a nurse. Wendy pictured herself behind a radio booth where her voice could fill a room. That quiet pull toward media only grew stronger. Every summer, her family left New Jersey for Oak Bluffs on Martha's Vineyard, a historic haven for Black families. For Wendy, Oak Bluffs felt like the air she needed. It was full of culture, freedom, and community, a place where she never felt out of place. Yet even there, her parents reminded her that education came before everything else. She lived between these two worlds, one grounded in discipline and expectation, and the other bursting with creativity and pride. Over time, she began to describe herself the only way she could make sense of it all. A multicultural woman who happened to be Black. Those summers gave her confidence. They showed her she belonged somewhere, even when she felt isolated in her suburban school halls. In 1982, Wendy followed her sister Wanda to Northeastern University in Boston. She majored in communications, minored in journalism, but the real action for her was inside the small rooms of WRBB 104.9 FM. She began as a newsreader and quickly found herself hosting Soul's Place, a show packed with the kind of music that made her heart race. WRBB played hip-hop before most colleges even touched it, and Wendy threw herself into it. She studied how to hold listeners, how to shape a story, how to be bold without losing control. By the time she graduated in 1986, she had almost 4 years of radio under her belt and a clear voice that people on campus already knew. Even while she studied, she spent long days at Penn Station in New York with a small portable radio pressed to her ear. She listened for hours, taking in every move from DJs on WBLS, Kiss FM, and Hot 97. Legends like Frankie Crocker became her invisible teachers. She wasn't just listening for fun. She was studying how they spoke, how they teased stories, how they kept people hooked. She treated it like homework. When she walked away from Penn Station each night, she knew she was building more than a dream. She was building a skill. After graduation in 1986, she took her first real radio job at WVIS in the Virgin Islands. It sounded exciting at first, sun and music and a steady paycheck. But the station played mostly calypso and reggae, genres she didn't know well. The pay was only $200 a week, and the staff didn't help her grow. She felt far from home and far from her purpose. She spent 8 long months there before deciding she couldn't stay any longer. She mailed out demo tapes to stations back on the mainland and prayed for a call. That call came from Wall in Washington, D.C., around late 1986 or early 1987. It was a better job, a better environment. But the format was oldies from the 1950s and 1960s, and Wendy felt boxed in. She needed something alive, something loud, something that matched the fire she felt when she spoke. Still, she stayed, worked hard, and kept sending out tapes. Then, on November 1st, 1987, her life shifted. WQHT Hot 97 in New York gave her a weekend fill-in spot. It was her first step into the city she had been studying for years. Within months, she earned a full-time overnight shift from midnight to 6 a.m. The hours were lonely, but they gave her room to experiment. She added gossip, mixed in her personality, and let her boldness shine. Hip-hop fans listened closely, and her audience grew. 2 years later, she was fired. But the experience proved something important. She could survive in New York radio. In 1989, she moved to 98.7 Kiss FM. By early 1990, she had earned a permanent morning show spot after staff jumped ship to WBLS. She introduced a new segment called Dish the Dirt, and everything changed. Listeners tuned in just to hear what Wendy would say next. She was fearless, direct, and unpredictable. By mid-1990, the station gave her a non-compete clause to keep her from leaving. She had become one of the most important voices in the city. Her rise kept climbing. In 1993, she won the Billboard Radio Award for R&B Major Market Radio Air Personality of the Year. She was the highest-rated host in her time slot, beating her rivals week after week. Stars feared her questions. Fans loved her honesty. Controversy followed her everywhere, but only made her name louder. Her interviews spread through the city long before social media existed. Wendy became the queen of urban radio because she was unfiltered at a time when almost everyone else played it safe. Her boldness came with a price. She pushed boundaries so often that her station collected more than 50 formal complaints about her judgment. Music moguls and even Bill Cosby called demanding she be fired. Her bosses argued over ethics, while her audience grew even bigger. Wendy understood something they didn't. People wanted truth mixed with drama. They wanted someone who wasn't scared. She gave them that every day. In April 1991, Kiss FM moved her to the afternoon drive time slot, one of the most powerful positions on the station. She questioned giants like Bill Cosby and Russell Simmons, asking what others avoided. Some interviews turned heated. Some turned explosive. But each one made her name echo across the city. She wasn't just a DJ anymore. She was a force shaping hip-hop culture from the inside. Wendy Williams had a way of pulling people in, even when things got heated. And nothing showed that more than the phone call she had with Whitney Houston in January 2003. It was supposed to be a simple radio chat, but the moment Wendy asked about Whitney's troubled marriage to Bobby Brown and the rumors about breast implants, everything shifted. Whitney's voice rose, sharp and tired, and she snapped, "You are not my mother," and warned that if she were younger, she would have handled things face to face. Staff members later said the studio felt like it was shaking. Whitney threatened to hang up more than once, and listeners could hear the tension in every second. When the call ended, the fallout spread fast. Headlines everywhere replayed the exchange. Whitney's team confirmed she got angrier about the implant question than anything else. The moment changed the way people looked at both women. It marked Wendy as a fearless interviewer while exposing how fragile Whitney's public image had become. Not long after that, Wendy started opening up about something she had kept hidden for years. She later said she lost more than 10 years to cocaine, starting in the 1980s and running deep into her early radio days. In her memoir published in 2013, she wrote about late-night drives into dangerous neighborhoods, parking in dark corners, and risking everything for another hit. She admitted she never checked into rehab, not even once. She quit in the mid-1990s after meeting Kevin Hunter, the man she would later marry, and kept the secret from most of her audience. When she finally talked about it on her own show, she said the addiction stole a decade she could never get back. Her story became a reminder that fame often hides what is really happening behind closed doors. By 2006, she was in another storm. This one involved Method Man and his wife. Without warning, Wendy revealed on her radio show that Tamika Smith was battling breast cancer. It was something the family had kept private, and the reaction was instant. Method Man came on air demanding answers. His voice shook with anger as he asked how she even knew. He wanted an apology, and he made it clear he was ready to confront her in person. Friends stepped in before things went too far. Fans called it one of the biggest violations a radio host had ever committed. Wendy later said she understood how serious health issues were, but the damage to the relationship stayed. Even before all that, Wendy had already built a reputation for pushing limits. After she left Hot 97 in 1998, with more than 50 complaints trailing behind her, she moved to Philadelphia and kept stirring waves. She hinted that people in the music industry were sending threats her way. She once told a story about a powerful mogul sending a girl group to confront her outside the station. Staff were terrified, unsure what might happen next. Wendy kept going, chasing stories, poking at egos, and treating every rumor like a spark that could start a fire. It was reckless to some and brave to others, but it kept her name alive. Her real rise began when she returned to New York in 2001 for the Wendy Williams Experience on WBLS-FM. By 2006, the show went national, airing in major cities like Los Angeles, Chicago, and Atlanta. Soon it was on more than 80 stations across the country, pulling in an average of 8 million listeners every week. In 2006, she won the Marconi Radio Award for Large Market Personality of the Year, one of the top honors in the entire industry. She called herself the Queen of all media, and it did not feel exaggerated. Her quick talking style, her blunt questions, and her mix of gossip and honesty turned her into one of the strongest voices in radio. Listeners loved how she would go after celebrities while also revealing her own struggles. In 2003, she pressed Blue Cantrell about her personal life, her sudden fame, and even her Playboy photo shoot. It was so raw that the interview ended up on a bonus DVD for Blue's album Bittersweet. Wendy also talked openly about her own problems, including her battles with prescription painkillers. She said she had thought about rehab at one point, but found her own path out. This honesty helped her build a loyal crowd who felt like they knew her. That same year, her career reached a new height. She won the Marconi Radio Award, and her listener numbers hit their peak. Her show continued to pull in about 8 million people weekly. She became the first Black woman to win in her category, and the industry finally recognized just how far she had pushed the boundaries of talk radio. In 2003, she added writer to her list of titles. She published Drama is Her Middle Name, a novel of more than 75,000 words about a suburban girl named Ritz who becomes a radio host. The story pulled from Wendy's own life and gave readers a behind-the-scenes look at the world she knew so well. The book did well, bringing her new fans and proving she could tell a story even without a microphone. Then came her jump into business. In 2007, she launched a fragrance called Tangerine Dream. She promoted it on air, talking about the bold scent and tying it to her own fearless style. Fans bought it quickly, and the fragrance became another piece of her growing empire. Wendy always knew how to turn attention into opportunity, and this was one more way she took her brand beyond radio. Everything changed again on July 14, 2008. That was the day The Wendy Williams Show debuted in 4 cities: New York, Los Angeles, Detroit, and Dallas-Fort Worth. It started as a 6-week test run after the morning news, but within weeks, the ratings climbed. By July 13, 2009, the show went nationwide. People tuned in for her Hot Topics segment, her jokes, her tears, and the unpredictable energy she brought to every episode. Her style got her in trouble too. In 2009, she joked about Joaquin Phoenix's lip scar, pulling her own lip up to imitate it. The clip went viral. Cher tweeted that Wendy should be fired. Wendy apologized to the cleft community and said she never meant to hurt anyone. Even in the middle of outrage, more than 1.5 million people watched that episode. Later that same year, she collapsed on air during a Halloween episode. Doctors diagnosed her with Graves' disease, a condition that causes the thyroid to overproduce hormones. She explained to viewers that the disease pushes the muscles behind the eyes, making them bulge and affecting her vision. She went through treatment and kept taping episodes, although swelling from related lymphedema forced her to trade in heels for sneakers. Fans noticed every change in her appearance and worried, but she kept showing up. In July 2012, she had another unforgettable moment. She interviewed Omarosa, the reality star known for her tough persona. Wendy accused her of using game show tricks to shape her image. Omarosa pushed back, and the two traded sharp lines. The episode went viral. Ratings jumped 30%. Their argument became internet history and reminded everyone why Wendy's interviews were must-watch television. By 2011, the show had earned international syndication and even got an NAACP Image Award nomination for Outstanding Talk Series. The nomination was announced on January 12, 2011, placing Wendy's show alongside giants like The View. It was another sign of how far she had come, from late-night drives for cocaine to being one of the most talked-about hosts in America. Wendy Williams reached her biggest peak between 2013 and 2014 when her show began pulling an average of 2.5 million viewers per episode during seasons 5 and 6. For a while, she became the top female host in daytime TV, trading places back and forth with Ellen DeGeneres for the #1 spot among women viewers. In 2014, she won the Daytime Emmy for Outstanding Entertainment Talk Show Host, which locked her in as one of the biggest names in the industry. Her show often beat strong competitors like Live with Kelly and Michael among women aged 25 to 54, which is the audience advertisers fight for. People kept watching because Wendy said things other hosts were scared to say. She poked at celebrity feuds, questioned public images, and stirred drama with stars like Mariah Carey and Whitney Houston. Viewers returned every day to see what she would say next. Her rise on TV pushed her into publishing. In 2011, she released a memoir titled Is the Bitch Dead, or What?, which sold over 100,000 copies and became a New York Times bestseller. She pulled the curtain back on her radio scandals, her marriage, her addiction struggles, and her quick climb in media. 2 years later, in 2013, she released Ask Wendy, a book based on the advice segment from her show. That book also passed 100,000 copies. Fans loved the mix of bold honesty and humor because Wendy always wrote the same way she talked. In 2015, something unexpected began turning her show into a viral machine. The Celebrity Revenge segment took off online. Wendy would pretend to be a celebrity and hit back at their controversies with sarcastic comebacks that fans shared across social media. By the end of 2015, the show pulled more than 10 million monthly interactions across Facebook and Twitter. Her fearlessness made the show feel more alive than most daytime programs, which helped her stay ahead in a crowded TV landscape. By 2016, Wendy began expanding her brand into live events. She hosted show-related outings during New York Fashion Week, giving fans a chance to meet her in person. But her growing visibility came with personal challenges. In 2019, she revealed she was living with lymphedema, a condition that caused swelling in her ankles. Paparazzi photos sparked concern, and Wendy addressed the issue openly on air. Even when the swelling looked painful, she continued appearing at events and used her platform to raise awareness about the condition. At the same time, her interviews got bigger and bolder. Seasons 7 to 10 featured some of the biggest stars in entertainment, including Beyoncé. Back in 2012, Wendy caused a wave of anger when she told her audience that Beyoncé spoke like she had a 5th-grade education. Fans attacked her for disrespect, and the backlash spread everywhere. Wendy had interviewed Beyoncé years before, but she always said she was surprised by how she spoke. Even with the controversy, her unfiltered style helped her maintain top 10 ratings year after year. Viewers came because they knew she never held back. But 2018 brought the kind of criticism that stuck. In January of that year, she said on air that an alleged 14-year-old sexual assault victim of R. Kelly had consented, and she said she was tired of the Me Too movement. Activist Tarana Burke called her out immediately. A Change.org petition demanding Wendy's removal passed 70,000 signatures in a matter of days. The criticism grew even louder after a CBS interview with Faith Rogers, who was suing Kelly for sexual battery and false imprisonment. Wendy apologized on Twitter and donated to cleft palate charities. The damage stayed with her and marked a sharp shift in how the public viewed her sensitivity to victims. Then came February 13, 2020. During a Galentine's Day segment, Wendy told gay men to stop wearing skirts and heels and said, "You had to menstruate to be a woman." Her comments caused instant outrage from the LGBTQ community and from major sponsors who considered dropping support. The next day, she gave a tearful apology on air and online, promising to do better. But it was not the first time she faced this kind of criticism. Drag Race stars had previously called her out for comments they viewed as homophobic or dismissive. Even with the apology, years of similar moments had already shaped her reputation with many LGBTQ viewers. This was not the first time she faced accusations tied to gender identity. In 2016, she repeatedly dead-named Caitlyn Jenner and said Jenner was not a real woman without surgery. LGBTQ advocates, especially queens from RuPaul's Drag Race like Detox and Alaska, publicly condemned her statements. People began collecting clips of similar remarks she made over the years, including eye-rolling at Ross Matthews and using phrases like "no homo." She never gave a direct apology for these moments, and the controversies piled up around her. In 2021, she shocked her audience during the height of the Free Britney movement. She cursed out Britney Spears' father, Jamie Spears, on air, using strong language while criticizing the conservatorship and calling out what she believed was abuse. The audience gasped, clips went viral, and her comments became part of the wider movement. When Britney Spears gained her freedom in late 2021, her supporters celebrated worldwide. Wendy's outburst helped fuel national attention, but also raised questions about her emotional state during live tapings. In July 2022, after 13 seasons, The Wendy Williams Show came to an end. Wendy had taken an indefinite break in October 2021 because of health issues, including a COVID infection and other medical concerns. The network announced the cancellation in June 2022 and confirmed that Sherri Shepherd would take over the time slot. Wendy could not appear on the final episode, but a tribute video honored her legacy. More than 3,000 episodes had aired. When the show's social media accounts and website were deleted in September 2022, it felt like the closing of an entire era. Her personal life carried storms of its own. Wendy married Kevin Hunter in 1997 after meeting him in 1994 at a skating rink in New York. Their son, Kevin Hunter Jr., was born in August 2000. For years, Kevin acted as her manager and business partner. Wendy had suffered multiple miscarriages before Kevin Jr. arrived, and their family life always felt tied to both love and struggle. Kevin faced a sexual harassment lawsuit in 2008 that was settled quietly. Then everything broke open in 2017, when news spread about his long-term affair with Sharina Hudson. Reports said he had fathered a child with her. Wendy filed for divorce in April 2019. The divorce was finalized in January 2020. Their New Jersey home was sold, and Wendy kept her legal surname Hunter, even though the marriage had ended. The truth behind that breakup pushed her into a darker period. The moment she confirmed the affair and the baby, everything around her began to collapse. She entered rehab in April 2019 for alcohol addiction. After her divorce, her health declined, and people close to her noticed changes in her memory and judgment. In 2023, doctors diagnosed her with frontotemporal dementia, although she denied having cognitive issues. Financial troubles followed. In 2025, Kevin Hunter filed a $250 million lawsuit, claiming she hid $48 million during the divorce. Wells Fargo froze her accounts because of suspected financial exploitation. Her lawyers said she was being unfairly targeted, and the freeze trapped her without access to her own money. The more these cases grew, the more isolated she became. Her life began to look nothing like the confident host fans had watched for years. Her relationship with her son also cracked. In 2025, she accused Kevin Jr. of misusing her money to fund luxuries like boat parties and irresponsible spending. She told TMZ that he was a good person, but at that moment, a horrible person to her. Court documents showed he apologized, but judges said he could not guarantee her financial safety. Not long after attending his college graduation, he was evicted from his Miami apartment for failing to pay $4,316 in rent. The eviction was later dropped, but the situation showed how unstable things had become. Wendy's guardian, Sabrina Morrissey, requested new medical evaluations, and the tension between mother and son grew even deeper. She had once used her own pain to build something that helped others. In 2014, she launched the Wendy Williams Foundation to fight drug abuse and poverty. Her own cocaine struggles inspired the mission. Over time, her personal world became smaller and more complicated. Her son had once been her main emotional support, but their bond became tangled by financial arguments that kept showing up in public. Her family tried to guide her, but the Lifetime documentary later revealed that even their help sometimes clashed with Wendy's need for independence. The foundation's work continued, yet her life showed how heavy fame can be when health and family pressure begin closing in from every direction. Her medical battles stretched back years. In October 2017, she was diagnosed with Graves' disease after fainting on live television during a Halloween episode. The condition made her thyroid produce too much hormone. Her eyes began to bulge, her body shook with tremors, and her heart raced uncontrollably. Fans noticed changes before she did. In February 2018, she revealed her diagnosis and took a 3-week break from her show. Doctors later said her health was in bad shape before treatment. She dealt with mood swings and high blood pressure. Graves' disease can lead to stroke, heart failure, and bone loss if untreated. Even with treatment, her symptoms grew more serious as the years passed. Everything became more complicated in May 2022 when the court placed her under guardianship. Wells Fargo had frozen her accounts because they believed she was vulnerable to financial exploitation. The court appointed Sabrina Morrissey as her guardian and described Wendy as cognitively impaired. Wendy said she was of sound mind and that the process felt like prison. Her legal team argued the bank advisor had made claims about her mental state without her consent. In 2024, court documents described her as permanently disabled and legally incapacitated. The guardianship controlled her money and medical choices. Her ex-husband challenged it in court, but judges upheld it. Her struggles became widely known in 2024 with the release of the Lifetime documentary, Where is Wendy Williams? The film showed her confusion, heavy drinking, and difficulty communicating. Her team sued, saying she did not have the mental capacity to approve the footage. Medical tests at Weill Cornell Medicine confirmed diagnoses of primary progressive aphasia and frontotemporal dementia. These conditions are irreversible and affect language and personality. The documentary shocked viewers, but also exposed the pressure she had been carrying since her divorce. In July 2025, on her 61st birthday, Wendy told TMZ she wanted freedom from guardianship and compared her assisted living facility to a prison. Independent tests confirmed her diagnoses, and the court kept the guardianship in place. In March 2025, police conducted a wellness check, and she was hospitalized at Mount Sinai West. She said she needed a breath of fresh air and wanted to speak with new doctors. Her ex-husband's lawsuit was dismissed, and Wendy said in interviews that she was sober and not incapacitated. She vowed to reclaim her life. Her lawyers kept fighting, saying new tests contradicted older ones, creating even more debate about her true condition.